Alright guys, thank you for watching this video, and I appreciate if you're watching my other videos. And like I said, in some of the other ones, this script I actually made a couple months ago. And I actually wrote it right after rumors came out that Donald Trump was reading Hitler's books, or was studying some of his speeches or something like that. So instead of jumping to conclusions, I said, hey, why don't I just see what Donald Trump was reading? What was he doing? Why would he choose to read these things? So I went online, went on Houston Public Library, and if you don't have a membership there, please do, or wherever city you live in. They have an amazing audiobook department. You can rent audiobooks for free for like 14 days, I believe. It's awesome. I do it all the time. But I didn't find Mein Kampf. One of the books I did find when I typed in Hitler was Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. It's a great book. It's written by a journalist, and I forget his name, but he was actually a journalist during that time. So he's able to have not only real world perspective, but also he wrote it much after the war ended. So it wasn't like he was still in the chaos. It wasn't as biased as you would think. There was some bias in there, you could tell, and he does admit to it at the very beginning of why he would have a bias, but it's very well written. I highly recommend it to everybody. But the main thing I got was just how similar the United States is right now to pre-Nazi Germany. I mean, I was reading this and I was like, oh my God, we are going through this right now. And if you ever I'm sure we've all heard the saying, if you don't study history, then you're doomed to repeat it. I mean, it's crazy what the similarities that are going on. I mean, first we want to talk about pre-Nazi Germany it was a post-war economy, so it was a little bit slow. But instead of like most politicians, most governments, instead of taking the blame, they blamed others for it. That's exactly what we're doing right now. We're blaming immigrants. We're blaming the economy. We're blaming just everything right now. And first thing they try to do is just polarize people. They said, okay, it's not us. We didn't do it. They did it. As far as I see us doing that all the time. I see America doing that all the time right now. And one of the things they hid it behind was national pride. It wasn't a whatever we could take it on. They blamed what was going on to them. They did it. But we as a country, we can rebuild, we can do this, and that's exactly what Donald Trump is basing his whole stance on, make America great. And that sounds good, but what is America? I mean, most people that are Americans can't even trace their lineage, much more than a couple of generations. And even if they can, I've heard people say, oh, my father, my great-grandfather was born and raised in Georgia, or whatever. I mean, but if they follow their mothers and their, all the other stuff, I mean, most people can't even trace all levels of their history back to America, much more than 2, 3, 4 generations. And if they can, they may be incestuous. I don't know, but I'm not trying to make fun of them, but it just doesn't happen very often. Even people that in Nazi Germany, I mean, even Adolf Hitler was from Austria, and his father, if you study him, and in that book it goes through a lot of his family history and what happened. But that's what's going on right now. We're hiding this reason to hate people. We're trying to dehumanize people. Right now we're blaming the Syrian refugees, and we're saying that the Muslims and the Mexicans and all these people are coming to break down America's culture. But if you have hatred toward these people you've never met, you're a victim of programming. You have been programmed to hate somebody. Hate is not natural. It doesn't naturally happen. I mean, I always look at babies. To me, I think our purest form is how a baby would react. And babies don't naturally hate people. I mean, they might, we've all seen a baby cry when somebody holds them, but typically that person can do something pretty quickly to make that baby stop crying, whether it's a goofy face or a funny sound or something. Babies don't naturally just hate people. They might be scared, they might be, they might be a little startled at times, but that's just, so babies don't naturally hate people. And if you hate somebody you've never met before, you're a victim of programming. You're a victim of whatever you've been reading, whatever propaganda whatever you believe. I mean, you shouldn't hate somebody you don't know. It's just not natural. And the thing with babies too is they naturally share. I mean, so if you come to a baby and you open your mouth while he's eating, the first thing he's gonna do is put food in your mouth. If you put your hands out while he's playing, he's gonna share his toys with you. Now, if you come and take it, if you come and steal his food or steal his toys, yeah, the baby's gonna cry. So that tells us that sharing is good and stealing is bad. That's pretty simple. But to hate somebody you don't know is completely wrong. So on that, I do have to go against Trump and a lot of what the Republican media is going against. But this is not an anti-Republican video. I was born and raised Republican. I mean, my parents were Republican, but I also am willing to see the other side. I'm actually saddened by the way the Republican Party is right now, but also the Democratic side. I mean, we got to look at what they did. Let's look at Nazi Germany. So this is Nazi Germany. This is the war has started. All right, guys. So back to what I was talking about. If you look at the start of the war, the Berlin was being bombed. All these cities were being just devastated by bombings and war. And what the government did, just like we have now, we have property insurance. Instead of, there's not much they could have done. I don't know the alternative, but what they did is they required companies to not only insurance companies to not only pay for it, but they also required them to the business owners they forced them to have business insurance and property and liability insurance, which we would argue and say that's a good thing to happen, right? I mean, but what it did was it forced these companies, these smaller companies, to go out of business. If that sounds familiar to our national health care program, it's very similar to that. So that's one of the things that President Obama did, and I unfortunately I feel that Hillary's going to do way worse than that to us. If you notice where a lot of her money has come from, a lot of her contributions have come from big bank. So I've always heard that if the president was a baker, the price of bread would go up. That's exactly what's going to happen, guys. If Hillary's elected, our banking system is going to be way more demolished than worse before. It's going to be horrible. But at the same time, I mean, Donald, he's just going to make us this crazy, crazy world and nation that we live in. But maybe there's a third party. I still have hope in a third party. I have no idea what's going to happen if one of those two are elected. I don't even want to think about it right now. But please, whatever. If you know anything about our electoral college, it's pretty scary times right now. I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm still optimistic that we live in a great world. I'm still optimistic that everything that is going on is for the better. I just don't know how it's going to play out. So I don't have a fairy tale ending to tell you right now, but I do believe that something good's going to come out of this. I'm just praying every day and crossing my fingers and working hard, doing everything I can to make sure. And that's the point of these videos, is how can we make this world a better place? So thank you so much for your time.